You're back.
Hey. Except you guys are up in the mountain and I'm way down here below sea level.
Well, yeah, that's true. And well, it's all good though, no matter where you are, you know. Really.
That's true. We're all still in the same room.
Yeah. True.
Yes.
Well, how's everybody doing? You doing okay, brother man?
I'm doing all right. I've got some things that I've got to get done this week, but other than that, I feel fantastic. I was really looking forward to doing this with you guys. Doing another follow-up to the Man Up to Your Emotions that we did up there in the mountain. God, that was back in January. Boy, we've all grown. We've grown quite a bit since then. But I know that we wanted to get together and do a follow-up and kind of even go a little bit more in depth of what we were talking about before. So, Alan, I think you were talking earlier. Oh, by the way, there's Alan and that's Troy, and of course I'm Lee. Hey, it's me.
Don't forget about Lee. No, can't forget about him.
Yes. But let's kick it off. Let's get there. Hey, Troy, do you have anything you want to throw out there real quick? What was your takeaway? I guess you know what. Let's do this. What were your guys' takeaways from the first video?
I think the first video was pretty amazing. I think we didn't really expect the response that we got from, both from the masculine and from the feminine side of the energy, especially coming from, three males speaking from that perspective. We were just talking about it the other day, some of the comments that we got, like you said, this was back in January, and people are still talking about that video and how important it is for us as males to speak out. Alan and I the other day brought up the subject again about, how that voice is very strong as males in this journey, and it needs to be heard. I think we just started to scratch the surface with that first video, and there's more that needs to be put out there, coming from the masculine point of view.
Yeah, and one of the things we were kind of talking about, Lee, is, because you're on Facebook a lot, naturally, with what you guys do. Sandra and I are, Troy is, and one of the things that we really noticed when Troy and I got to talking, and we all three kind of gotten into this as well. We're seeing a lot of the females out there. I mean, with the ramp up of the energy that has been going on all this year, the 4 blood moons and everything else that's been going on, we're seeing a real rise of the divine feminine. We're seeing a lot of where the feminine energy, they're out there in the trenches, man. I mean, they are out there doing the work, and I'm speaking generally, not in absolutes, but we're seeing a lot of them out there, and they're wanting to make this thing work. They're wanting to bring the twin flame union back together again. And one of the things that we seem to be seeing a lot and hearing a lot is like, okay, this is what we're doing. And you don't see as many guys. Troy and I were talking about this in the trailer, and we didn't see as many guys. We're looking at maybe, it's a rough estimate, maybe about 9-to-1 female energy, masculine energy, as far as doing and not doing so much. And part of what we wanted to talk about, and there again, going back to Man Up to Your Emotions, which us three did, it's time for the guys to kind of kick it in gear a little bit. You know what I mean, Lee?
Okay. So what kinds of things do you guys think really is going to bring men out?
Well, I think visually, just the fact that you have three guys talking about it, because in general, as we know, coming from the template, men are taught that those become the P's, the provider, protector, those type of things. And usually opening up about the emotional side, most guys don't do that in a general term. So when you have 3 different perspectives of men talking about the emotion, I think it makes it a little bit easier for guys to go ahead and look and go, hey, if these guys can do it, why can't we do it? In general, it seems like more guys need to an example of them doing it, where it seems like ladies, they're more comfortable about talking about their emotions.
Right.
And it seems like if you get a group of guys talking about it, then they're like, well, I won't be judged. If these guys are not judging each other on how they're expressing themselves, maybe I won't be judged, if that makes sense.
Right, kind of like, if okay, I know I hear this guy talking about what he's doing on the inside as far as purging the wanting to not get angry and everything else that goes along with that. Um, I think a lot of guys are just kind of afraid to open up, and just say, yeah, I have a real problem when I get angry, or when somebody in my family confronts me, or if my twin flame does this or they do that. The women seem to have it down. The feminine, I should say, seem to have it down to where they're willing at least to work on this stuff, and they're doing it. The guys, they don't want to necessarily go in and maybe admit they have the weakness of saying, oh, well, my anger is not a problem. Or, no, I mean, the fact that I don't want to be sentimental or emotional with you, or whatever the case may be. We're seeing where the women are actually going in, and the feminine, I should say, I keep going back to that, sorry. But the feminine are going in and they're doing it. The males, they're just kind of like, well, yeah, I know I probably should, but can we talk about this tomorrow, maybe? If there's like a program's on right now. You know what I mean? It's an avoidance of what they know that they should be doing.
One of the things that I think needs to probably be understood first is, what is the definition of emotion? When you look at it, even as a man, I think we may not have a very clear definition of what it is that's being asked of. If I had to ask either one of you two, what would be your definition of emotion, Troy? Just give me a random.
A definition of emotion, I guess in layman's terms, just something how you feel like touching a stove is hot, so it's going to give you a reaction. Or watching, the interaction between a child and its mother, how that makes you feel within yourself. If I were giving a general term.
And Alan, what's your definition of emotion?
My definition of an emotion is something that you feel inside that whenever you feel it, well, I guess we're not talking about emotion as much as suppression, but the ability to let the feeling out and air the feeling that you have, no matter what it is, whether it's love, sadness, grief, anger, happiness, but being able to express that feeling that you have inside.
I suppose for me, it took me a long time to figure out what it actually was to me. And I felt it in such a way that it made so much more sense. But emotion is the body's reaction to what the mind said.
Okay.
Necessarily what that means is, whatever the mind is trying to dictate, there's an emotional response or something felt in the body that really translates into our emotions. It's how it comes into the mind that really is going to impact how somebody expresses it. If you think about being young again, I think about some of the things where I was having the emotions being brought up, whether I was able to speak what I needed to say and not want to hurt anybody on the outside of me. On the inside of me, I was inflicting damage. Because the only way that I thought, okay, if I'm hurting in here, I'm going to hurt somebody. And that's usually why we run, right? That's why we won't discuss what we're feeling, what we're experiencing, because just as in tune as we are to some parts of our body, we're not in tune with the whole thing when it has to respond to what the mind says. Did I say that right?
Right.
Yeah.
No, I get you.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So if you look at it from that lens, what we end up having is, growing up, there's not really anybody teaching a man about or a little boy into a man about what's going on the inside of his body. And when we get older, we really, really struggle. It's not so much that we weren't even taught. It's just that nobody even has the discussion with us.
Very true.
Right.
So
Right.
what ends up getting damaged, or what ends up growing with you, is you have this energy on the inside that when it happens to you, that it affects your body, you're not expressing it properly. you know that certain things trigger a certain emotion. Sometimes that you want to decide whether this is going to be angry, upset, or disconnection, or you want to run from the situation, or you want to, I mean, all of the above probably could fall into this realm. Whereas a little girl, for example, is already, from the moment she's born, she's taught about her body all the way until she's maturing. They get in touch with their body in that way, so they can understand where those feelings come from.
Right.
As much as they can create, life, which we participate in, but we don't necessarily go through the same things they go through. That doesn't mean that those things don't happen on the inside of us. We just don't have a clear understanding of what those things are, or how to express.
Yes.
The
So,
expression.
yeah, when I look at emotion and being able to express what needs to be expressed, how easy is it for you to tell what your mind actually is interpreting and how it's impacting your body, and how do you express that? Things that trigger us, of course, will cause that triggering response, and the body wants to. Troy, you can probably understand this more than what I'm saying, but when you break into a dance and your emotional energy is impacted based on you hearing something, you hear the music, it gives you that feeling, all of a sudden you let it come out through your dancing. That's no different than what men experience. We just don't have the words to kind of match what the feeling is. So it's best that when I was going through trying to understand my emotional energy or understand my own emotion, I did it alone. I went in and did the work and realized that, okay, this doesn't feel comfortable, that feels comfortable. This doesn't feel comfortable, that feels comfortable. Ooh, this is really uncomfortable. Ooh, this really feels weird. What is this? What is my heart opening up? What is this locking feeling here? Why did my words just get taken away? How come I got a sharp pain? All of these things are things that happen to us, and we translate them in such a way where we don't really express them the way that we experience them.
Yeah.
How easy would it be if we started realizing that the emotional response that we're having, if we just stated what the mind said that triggered it? Because you could be listening to somebody and be in here having a conversation about what they're saying, and then it gives you an emotional response, and you don't say what this did that caused the emotional response. And it's almost like we're trying to telepathically read the other person without even hearing the truth. You can pick up the energy of what somebody's emotional response is and then automatically assume you can hear what they're thinking.
Yes.
Right? But if they're not able to express it, you're just mind reading yourself. You're mind reading an interpretation of what you want to hear them say, rather than hearing them say what they can actually say, because they're not in touch with what they're feeling that was coming from that thought process. I hope I said that right, because I know that made sense. But really, when it comes to what I really found was the truth, is that emotion is the body's response to what the mind says. For man, I know that's the truth. But now, how do you figure that out? Well, first of all, you've got to understand what your mind is stating. Then you've got to see, when you go into the thought or the thinking that is there, where is it impacting? Does it make you feel uneasy? Does it make you feel agitated? Does it make you feel not at ease with? And the biggest part of that is, do you feel your sense of self being challenged or being diminished in some way? When that happens, that's when we run. That's when we lock up. Because for us, as you said before, Troy, we got to be providers. We want to be we don't know much about nurturing, but we try. We try to do all of the things that have been under this big, huge umbrella that masculine energy is supposed to represent. When it comes time to be in the emotion or in the nurturing way, we have to identify with the thinking that allows us to actually open that space to understand what it is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Just like any woman would feel, a man wants to feel touched. He wants to feel wanted. He wants to feel needed. All of those things are very, very important. And, you know, even as much as we've altered and we've changed and we've grown over the centuries that we've been here at Human, there's still that barrier of wanting and needing attention and the emotional breakdown from a man to the emotional response from a woman. Notice I said breakdown here and response here because that's what it's been. The breakdown is you have the patience to figure out what it is you said to yourself that caused this part of you that decided to disconnect.
Yeah.
It took me a long, because, you know, I had this very analytical mind, but I also had a mind that was constantly in charge. And it kept me to make sure that I always kept those emotions in check. And I was able to suffocate them for a majority of my life. So that's a switch. When you learn to shut your emotions off and act like it didn't affect you.
Right.
Yeah.
And women have that perfected. Don't get me wrong. They've got it perfected. But the thing is they realize that they have to let it go at some point. We don't. It usually kills us. You can find a 40, 30-year-old man who's kept all this shit inside for 30 years, and then he just keel over and die because he suffocated his insides based on that emotional energy and kept them hidden.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why we die earlier. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
exactly.
kind of the point we brought up in the first video of all that suppression of the emotions within the man and causing the health issues. And we talked about, you know, the disease within. And you made some amazing points, Lee, about talking, especially about not having the vehicle to express those emotions, you know, and how it does affect the body. And then you brought up the point about, like, I guess that's how I use my expression. Like before, like me expressing through my words and talking, it's been a huge leap of faith for me because I would revert back to using my body and taking those emotions and using it through movement. That's how I get it out because I felt like my words weren't being heard and weren't strong enough, so I wouldn't use my words. So I just used my body. And then once I saw that people would react to my emotion in my body, then I felt like I could connect that way. But there's a limit to that too as well, because not everybody's going to understand movement through the body, you know, because people learn in different forms and fashions. You know, some people can kinesthetic learners, audio learners, visual learners, you know, so there's different ways of communicating with people. And as men, to be able to stand behind your voice and speak it and be proud of it and be okay with those emotions while being judged is a huge thing, you know, and it's something, me personally, I am still learning and still growing on at this stage in my life and still being okay with expressing my words and not self-judging myself for the words that are coming out of my mouth. Because I'm feeling a certain way, maybe because I'm reacting to something somebody said or something that happened in the past, which caused a trigger within me to either, like you said earlier, do those things, clam up or flight. And my path is flight. Like, I'm like, cool, I'm out. I don't want to deal. I'm going to go over here and chill out and let you guys figure that out. You know, and then there goes the suppression within. So, you know, not having that vehicle for men to express themselves, I can see why, you know, men die early age of all just from emotion, just from suppressed emotion, you know, kill a man. And I think it's something that's not brought to the forefront. It's, you know, I think a lot of men could probably save themselves a lot of health issues, a lot of just general issues within themselves by opening up. I mean, I think all three of us can relate to not only ourselves with this, our significant others, our relations with our parents. All those things impact those things. Because if that voice is not there, how do you, I've learned, like, if you don't speak those things, how do you survive?
What do you think, Al?
No, I totally agree with that. I think it is the ability, you know, it's kind of like whenever you see a picture and well, I'm going to back up. Just from growing up, all the things that you were told that you could say, couldn't say, the ways that you were told that you could act and you couldn't act. Okay, those became ingrained in you. And that was judgment passed on by other people, which became our own judgments that we carried with us, that we picked up. And for me, it was kind of like looking at that picture on the wall. You know, like whenever there's a picture of you and your buddies or whatever, and you look at the picture and you don't see what's wrong with everybody else, but boy, you see, man, I didn't do a good job on my hair, my tie's crooked, you know, or whatever. Everybody else to you looks great, but you in your own mind look bad. So what I had to learn to really work at was getting over the self-judgment, whether it was of my own making or generational, societal, or anything else, and just realize that, you know what, yeah, I'm a man, but, you know, I am part of Source. I'm part of universe. I'm part of you. I'm part of you. You know, we're all one. And as one, I have the right to be whoever I want to be, you know, and, you know, if, you know, something makes me uncomfortable now, yeah, it still makes me uncomfortable, but by learning to not judge myself into submission by saying, well, you can't say anything because it's not going to matter anyway, and your opinion doesn't count. No, I had to really work to get out of that. It's just like, you know, if you don't bring it out, it's never going to get solved. If you don't work on it, you're never going to be able to do it. You know, and it took me a while because I'm, you know, a little on the stubborn side myself, you know, but once I learned that, and I learned that, you know, I could stand in my own truth and not feel like, you know, I was second class or subservient to anyone. It was just like, it was good. I don't know if that answered your question.
Yes, I believe it has. You went in deep, dude. Don't worry about it. Here's one of the things.
Huh?
Here's one of the things that we know about laws of movement. The law of the past is never going to be able to dictate who you're supposed to be now. But yet we carry those laws for a certain level of standard, or what we call a foundation, as it were. Mm-hmm. So what we end up doing is trying to remove the laws of the foundations of the things that we were taught based upon a time that has passed. Don't say this, don't be that, don't do this, don't say that, be this way,
right.
Stand straight, don't do this, don't do that, never fart in front of a woman, so on and so forth, right? So you just go through the whole list, and now you've got this shell that you are. You never get to express or experience anything. The truth is, we're carrying this emotion, and tell me if this is incorrect, but if you're going through an emotional experience as a man, you funnel that into what we call fear. Mm-hmm. But before it even gets to the fear, it kind of goes to this like chain, almost the dramatic chain of stress. You start stressing about, well, if I say this, or if I do that, if I do this, if I do that, next thing you know, it's now infected with fear. So it's almost like it's a part of the family for fear, right? Stress is one of the greatest. Stress is one of the greatest parts of the family when it comes to fear, because now you have this future outlook, or you have this whisper in the ear telling you what events are going to lie by you expressing your emotional state, and it makes you sick, and it makes you run, and it makes you evade, and it makes you, and then on top of that, you feel like you're on a timer, in which case, when you're dealing with feminine energy, you literally feel like you're under a timer to make a choice or become awake very quickly. And that kind of pressure makes you go further and further to sleep. You don't want to express your emotions under that. It's almost like, I want to tell you how I feel, and then the moment you start going down the path, because nobody's patient enough to listen to everything you got to say, you are still trying to learn your emotions to express them, but you feel like a kindergarten. This is your first step. You haven't even made it to the first grade of expressing your emotion.
Yeah.
Because when do you have time to learn it? Well, with all the laws of the past, when have you ever been allowed to learn it?
Yeah.
The thing is you don't even see that you're not allowing yourself because of the laws of the past, which really they're dictating you now and they're pointing at your future saying, this is you. You're stuck here. You're going to be in this box. And it's like, what if you just let go of what was and embrace all of what is and just say, I hurt. I don't feel attractive. I don't feel, that I'm worthy of this. I don't feel this. Then you're coming into what you find is, of course, the lie that's been told by the past, or the lie based on what was or what is, and the choices that you're trying to make when all you're trying to do is get to the core root of all the confusion of all the time that's kept you from being your emotion. Wow. Your mind is a very powerful weapon. One that protects you, but one that also blows you up. It's like it counts down, and it's a nuclear weapon, and that you're going to be the center of it, but then you look at all the casualties and you try to run away to the furthest desert, and you end up blowing up anyway, and you end up taking a few million people out. That's what it's like. Because of the lack of understanding of what it took for my thought process to create the emotion. Think about some of the emotions that you've gone through, and you just shut them down or put them in a box, or you just didn't speak up and say anything. And when those things happen, what happens to you is you question everything. And in those questions, you're trying to dictate a future. You're trying to dictate an outcome. Because that's what we're taught. Plan ahead. Plan ahead. Oh, that means I'm going to have to use this tool for every aspect of my life. Which means you're missing all of the moments right now to make any kind of choices that would get you a salvation. Is it really breaking up? Can you hear me? Hello?
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Kinda. You sound like a space guitar.
Oh, I probably was a little too emotional in that response.
Man, we're sitting there listening and it's like, okay, I can hear like really cool tones out of this space guitar coming at us. What is that?
Yes, that would have been whatever that was that guides me sometimes to say things that are very profound in those moments. I'm sure that when it comes back on the recording, it may come through. I don't know. Hopefully it came through. I did pop open the box for questions to be asked, but I'm not seeing anything, so I don't know how that works. Hopefully it works. Who knows?
Yeah, I'm just having a really hard time understanding you right now.
Is it like that right now?
You're just breaking in and out and in and out and in and out real hard.
How about now? Is that better?
Same.
Huh. Dude. Hold on. And is that better?
That's better than what it was.
Huh. Okay.
You still able to?
Well, hopefully it catches up. Now, it could be also that we are streaming it live, and there are people watching, so I'm not really quite sure what's happening.
Wow.
So,
yeah,
kind of happens when you start, channeling whatever you got to channel, and it just comes right out. Blah, 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 blah.
Okay.
So, when it comes to how you express your emotions or how you're learning your emotions, what do you usually do, Troy?
As of lately, the biggest thing I would say in the last 6 months, I've been doing a lot of writing. At first, I would do the typical male thing, clam up, don't say anything, go somewhere, chill out, you know, fester with it until I calm down and move on. But I've seen how productive that's been. But now I've been finding more of a way to cleanse that by, writing it out. If it's free writing, or I got back into doing poetry, so sometimes that's a great outlet for my emotion. Not always relying on movement for myself is expressing that, but just I want to get in tune with those other aspects of myself, especially with voice. Opening up. I think my growing up process, a lot of my suppression comes from that, of not speaking up and feeling like my voice was invalidated. So, standing behind my truth in my words and being okay with that has been a huge journey for me at this stage. So right now, a lot of writing, a lot of just purging through my writing, just free writing, not trying to PC myself. Actually, I was working on a letter today, and I started getting into very PC aspect of it, and I stopped myself. Like, why? Why am I being PC? There's no reason. It's just me, the pen, and the pad. And I chose not to do it on the computer. I literally got the notebook and just wrote and wrote and wrote. And what I learned was, as I started writing about one subject, the domino effect, and I was kind of talking to Alan about this earlier, started happening, because that one subject led to another subject, which led into another subject, which led into another subject. And it's like I saw myself going down the rabbit hole even further, and how all these things start linking up. Once you suppress this, you suppress this, then you suppress this, and then you suppress this. So I started to see how the thread, everything was tied together. Just me not saying one thing at one point in time in my life affected this timeline of events in my life, and me not saying certain things at times I should have. Again, and it goes back to that judgment of, is this the right thing to say, or how to say it? Or am I going to be looked at as, being emotional? That's one of the big things that I've heard in my life with friends, and going, you're too emotional. You need to quit wearing your heart on your sleeve. So I got a really confusing message, because at times I do want to express myself, but then I'm told not to express myself. But then when I did, I got you're too emotional. So I'm like, so what do? How do you express yourself? So for me, writing has been that outlet, that free outlet of not feeling judged or anything like that, and just let my pen and the pad go, and wherever it takes me, it takes me.
What is interesting about that is you felt judged on the outside, and then you participated and made them correct, so you did it. Is that what you said?
Yes.
Stop doing that. I mean,
Stop doing that.
Who is that for? Who are you? Now, mind you, they're not living on the inside of you to understand what you're enduring and what you're going through and what you're birthing into, so they can stop your growth and stop your experience and stop your love from coming out by basically saying you wear your heart on your sleeve. I guess does it really come down to, they help you judge yourself, so you follow suit and judge yourself and keep yourself isolated?
Yes.
Well, why would you do that?
At the time, for me, because I felt like that was the only way to protect myself.
From who?
I guess. Now that I look at it now, I'm protecting myself from myself, because I had this notion that if I put this energy out there, these feelings, that something was going to happen, a reaction from other people were going to cause certain things to happen. So I stopped doing, like I just said it, stop doing that.
So you
I do think that.
Yeah.
So you took your heart, you put it in a box, you put it behind a vault, you spun the dial and said, I'm not going in there?
Yes.
It makes it easy to walk away, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. And then it was easy for me to be like, I'm out. Deuce.
Yeah. Do you remember the combination of how to get back in there?
No, I was that guy who swallowed the key.
Well, think about that box, though, and being behind that pole. It's illusionary. It doesn't exist. Basically, what you did is you just stuck a knife in it, and then you said, I'll leave that there until it feels better, until I can walk away, until I can not experience pain, not realizing that you stuck the knife in there and only you can pull it out. Oh, don't worry, it's going to bleed. But it's also going to be a release when it does.
Yeah.
I mean, we walk around thinking other people are stabbing us in the back while we're walking around with the knife in our chest. So if you would have never put the knife in your chest, nobody would have that knife in your back, would they?
Very true.
Makes sense to me. I mean, why would you stick your own knife in your heart and then expect somebody to stab? And it's funny because, we do this and then we point at them and say it's them, and we forgot that we stuck the knife in there first.
Very true.
Yeah.
Yeah, stop doing that. That's not good.
Thanks, guys.
we just
Let's be back together.
But
Troy, you said you just stated the number one reason why we don't express ourselves.
Yeah.
Because
and that's why I brought up that point.
Somebody shut us down, and it's not just your friends. It could be family. It could be anybody. You can just do that, and you will elect to go, wait a minute, I was just abandoned. Oh, shit, that hurt. I'm abandoning myself now. And now you validated being abandoned. And you validated abandoning yourself. And it's like, the first rule of abandonment is there is no such thing as abandonment. You're going to be stuck with yourself miserable. And then you're going to point out and say other people are abandoning you when you're not seeing that you've abandoned yourself. The logic of it all is what the mind tries to make it. Then it affects the emotion. Then the emotion, stress, fear, all come there to make sure that the abandonment and rejection exists. Would we make those choices if we were conscious of them?
No, we wouldn't. Not at all.
So then you just admitted that it's an unconscious act to not wear your heart on your sleeve?
Yeah, I mean, at the time, that's what I was thinking,
Or were you conscious wearing your heart on your sleeve and somebody unconscious said something unconscious to you for you to voluntarily participate in it? See the trick?
I can see that. Yes, right. I can see that.
Right. I'm awake.
So you put it up here. Hey, I'm going to knock it off, and then I participate in them knocking it off, and I'm like, okay, it's broken, so I'm going to just look at it being broken.
I would say across the planet that happens all the time, and it even happens more so in the twin flame origin or dynamic, is what happens is when the unconscious runner runs, the other can participate in becoming unconscious and point at them running and realizing that they're running as well. But it's all an unconscious result because nobody's ready to be conscious. Because would you consciously hurt somebody? Would you consciously?
What's that?
Would you consciously hurt somebody?
No.
Then it's all unconscious behavior. If you ever seen it, you can see the look of regret when you did something and you go, and then you become conscious. You go, why did I do that? Because you were unconscious. You had to come up with some way to protect yourself and protect the mind and the emotional state to make the choice you made. It knocked you unconscious.
Yeah.
As men, it's very, very hard to see that. Because when we're conscious, we're being present. But when we get knocked into our past or when we get told that we got to pay attention to what the future is supposed to hold, we don't handle that space very well, especially with a rocky past.
Yeah.
It's the overcoming challenge of being able to try to understand your emotional state. You guys get pretty quiet on me. Why did you guys get so quiet?
Well,
you
were rolling, man.
We're rolling. We're listening. We're taking it, man.
How does that
being conscious?
We're being conscious, man. Come on. You just dropped a lesson on us, and so we're being conscious, and we're giving it right back to you.
Understand. What would it take to be more conscious? As men.
I think this is why we're having this discussion right now.
I think it would be more conscious, or what it would take to be more conscious as men is believe in you, love you, trust you. Don't be afraid to get outside of the box. I mean, this is just my own thinking. This is what I had to learn. I had to learn to trust myself. I had to learn to like myself first. That was hard for a long time. And I had to learn how to love myself. And then I had to learn that if I can do all of those things, then what I do, what I say, how I act, if it's in accordance with my greatest intention for those, not only me, but for those around me, then I'm good with it. That's just the basic thought process that I went through.
Well, it's exactly as I was talking about before. Emotion is the body's reaction to the mind.
Mm-hmm.
And when we don't release it and we hold it in, we're creating an amount of stress consumed in fear that's going to make us make choices that are going to be unconscious. And the goal has always been, if you want to amp up your emotions or amp up to man up, I like that better.
Amen.
I said, to amp up to man up, you have to be able to be transparent with your thinking, be able to be transparent with what emotional response happens from that thing, and know that you can be conscious through it rather than going unconscious in it.
Yeah.
Totally on board with that.
Yeah.
Easier said than done. Easier said than done if you find yourself going unconscious like that. And what we see is when we don't have that space to be conscious, and somebody's asking us, they want it now. We got to go this way now. We're going to be married now. And they go through all of these steps and stages of want and needs, and none of those things really ever fulfill the experience or the space of what consciousness should represent. It becomes very overwhelming. And again, we get triggered into stress. That's the illusion. The illusion is, if I express my emotions, I'll be hurt. Then we close down and we inflict the pain of our own hurt on what we imagined them doing and made it about them. So now it's their fault for what we just did to ourselves.
Exactly. Yeah, we see it happen every day. Mm-hmm. Every day.
If we were more present, because there is a whole lot of presence you have to have in order not to do that. I mean, would you choose peace or would you choose non-peace? Well,
I'd choose peace.
Yeah, absolutely peace.
Then being conscious of your emotional state based on what the mind state, and not buy in and not validate the story. That would be the only way to express it. And and this happens. This is not just something that's inflicted, and it happens to women as well. We're all made up of both energy.
Yeah.
both energies have the ability. If a man goes unconscious, it won't take long for the feminine, masculine energy to go unconscious and for her to elect to choose that side because it makes sense to follow the unconscious and avoid the conscious. I know that sounds strange, but that's what. And especially when the vibration is a match, we don't even see that we're making those choices. We're seeing we're making those choices unconsciously, but we're not seeing why we make those choices consciously.
Yeah.
Well, I think this was a good discussion. I really felt that, the follow-up to Man Up to Your Emotions, it really was about coming out and saying, you know what? We hurt too. We second guess too. We're not worthy. We're not ready either. We're
not infallible. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm afraid to be vulnerable. I'm afraid to be transparent. But even the sheer want or need to understand that eludes even yourself, which gives the person that you're trying to express it to permission to do exactly what you do to yourself.
Very true.
Very true. The mirror effect.
Yep.
Yes. That damn mirror.
Always looking back at me. What the hell?
We were just talking about that because, a lot of people go, well, what about the negative emotions? The negative emotions that are consuming me and consuming him, and we're being consumed, or it's consuming her and it affects me, then I run away. And all of this is really quite interesting if you look at it from a different standpoint. You're a human being and you have a shadow. Can you get rid of your shadow?
No.
So does that mean that light always has dark and dark always has light?
Yeah.
Oh, you caught that?
Yeah, I caught it.
Oh, okay. Breaking up again.
I got it.
Okay.
Do they get along?
What?
We didn't catch that part.
Do they get along?
Here we go again.
The shadow and the light, or the shadow and the human state, or the human being, do they get along? Yes, because one can't exist without the other. Am I breaking up again?
Yes,
Badly.
you are. Very badly.
Very badly.
Oh. Well, I'm not sure what it is on my end. You guys are coming through pitch perfect, so I'm not sure what's happening. But I really felt that this was great. What else do you guys have? Anything that you want to add to this?
No, I think we covered it pretty well.
Yeah, and I just want to say, brotherly, thank you for again continuing this conversation and this forum. Like I said, I think we were just scratching the surface with that first video, and something Alan and I talked about the other day, that I think this is something that needs to be more of a constant, that more men speak up, and we hope that not only the men get something out of this, but also the feminine energy gets something out of this too as well, because I know they probably have questions and understand things they don't understand, and hopefully this helps.
That's what we're hoping. Yeah, we're hoping to kind of bring everything a little bit more into balance as far as the energy, and that's going to go a long way, I think, in towards ways of just fulfilling what it is we have to fulfill.
Agreed.
So,
well, I don't think anybody ever posed any questions, so I'm not seeing any anyway. Answer questions and questions. There's like a question box. I don't even know how it works. It's the first time I tried it. So.
Okay. Well,
I guess that's how that works, but I don't know if it has a thing. It shows people watching, so hi, everybody. How are you guys doing?
Oh, okay. Hi. Glad to have you.
Hope you guys enjoyed this discussion. I'm sure it's one that, there's so many different ways that we could talk about the emotions that come from masculine or the emotions that don't come from masculine. And why they stay not so much hidden, but how they're handled. Because I don't think we all handle the same. I know that a great majority probably goes into the stress side of it rather than going in to see what it's actually supposed to birth through. But we're trying. We're trying to find our way.
We're doing our best every day. I know that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Well, thank you both. It's been my honor. It's been an honor to sit with both of you and talk again. And I'm Lee, and my other half is listening somewhere in another room, I'm sure. You can also find us at Twin Flames, Lee and Sherry on YouTube, which this video is probably posted. I'm sure there's a ton down below. But we definitely love doing this for you guys. And we also want to make sure that there is a voice that maybe you can't hear. But just make sure it doesn't matter what the actual connection is there to show you. Understand that the connection is there to open your eyes to see something you need. Sometimes that means removing any judgments, any way of seeing it. Just let it be as it is, and remove some psychological time. Psychological time is what the thoughts that come up that say, "Oh, but I want to get married. I want to have a baby. I want to do," or even for a man, "Oh, I'm never going to be. I'm never going to get there. I'm not going to be the kind of man I know she needs." We understand both, but what we're really trying to get to is how do you communicate it, and then how do you deal with it. You guys want to tell them where they can find you?
Troy?
Find me on Facebook, Troy Mantis Terrell, as well as on YouTube.
And Sandra and I, we have our Facebook pages. We've got a couple of those. Twin Flame Divine Fire. We have Divine Sexuality for Twin Flames, Sandra Allen. And, of course, we have our own YouTube channel as well under Twin Flame Divine Fire. So, hey, Lee, it was an honor. Thank you very much, man. It's great being back with you, brother.
Yes, brother.
Thank you, guys. It was my honor. I always love to come travel up the mountain, even from afar.
We
sure.
miss you, that's for sure.
Yes, for sure, brother.
Yes.
We'll go down and get some more lamps next time you're here.
Yes, yes. And keep sending the videos, Troy. They're very cute.
Love you too.
No, I love the water one. The whole Spider-Man look was just awesome. I mean, it was so Tobey Maguire. It was just so cool.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate it.
Looking out for you, buddy. Looking out for you. All right. Thank you guys for watching, and I'm sure this will be down there for you to watch. I think it takes a little bit to process, but we will definitely be doing more videos coming soon, especially surprise ones. So make sure that you're keeping tuned in to the channels, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Bye, guys. Love you.
Yeah.